Whoa.
The movie begins somewhere out in the galaxy on a random Tuesday night when the Galactic Council calls an emergency meeting. Out of nowhere, alarms are blaring. Something has gone wrong in one of their labs. Word is a scientist cooked up a creature without getting the Council's approval. They're calling it a monster. The man behind this little science project is Dr. Jumba Jukiba, a scientist who insists he's a genius for what he created. But to the rest of the Council, his invention is plain offensive. Experiment 626 is a beast, unstoppable, nearly indestructible, and smart enough to outthink 100 computers. Still, the Grand Councilwoman makes a point. This experiment never asked to be born. And if it's really that smart, maybe, just maybe, it can think for itself. Perhaps there's even a shred of good in it somewhere. But right when the Council starts to consider the idea, the little guy, later known as Stitch, steps up to the microphone and drops a nasty insult that leaves the whole room stunned. That's it. Decision made. Jumba's lab will be shut down, and Experiment 626 shipped off to some far corner of the universe. But as the meeting wraps up, one of the scientists tries to get close to the experiment to study it further. Stitch, though, is wild, totally out of control. With a crazed look in his eyes, he goes full chaos mode, tearing through everything in his path as he makes a break for it. The Council scrambles to stop him, but the little monster hijacks a ship and blasts off into who knows where. Soon enough, the Grand Councilwoman tracks the ship's path. It's headed straight for a little blue planet, mostly covered in water. Earth. She figures the thing will crash into the ocean, and that'll be the end of it. But to her surprise, and let's be real, her disappointment, it doesn't hit water. It lands smack in the middle of solid ground. Faced with this mess, the experiment's creator steps up and says he'll track it down himself, but he won't be going alone. Enter Agent Pleakley, an overly excited alien who thinks Earth is the coolest place ever. According to him, it's got amazing plants, animals, and next-level fashion. He's been studying the Western Hemisphere, but here's the kicker. Earth is protected. It's got humans. So, yeah. The Grand Councilwoman greenlights the mission. Dr. Jumba is going to Earth, but under strict watch, and teamed up with Agent Pleakley, who's all in on the mission to bring back the runaway experiment. Now, the story shifts to Earth. That's where we meet Lilo, a little girl who feeds bread to the fish before heading down to the beach. She lives in Hawaii, and her days are full of creativity. She makes her own bracelets, lets chickens loose, and soaks in the world around her with tons of imagination and heart. But when she shows up late to her hula class, things go south. The other girls laugh at her so-called friendship bracelet and throw shade, calling her trash girl. One of them even says it can't be a friendship bracelet if she doesn't have any friends. In class, they're supposed to dance in front of their families, but Lilo's sister, Nani, still isn't there. The girls pile on, teasing that no one showed up for her. Hurt and frustrated, Lilo snaps. She shoves one of them. What the others don't know is that Nani's car broke down and she just couldn't get it started. Later, back in her room, Lilo listens to music, still upset that Nani didn't make it to see her dance. She scribbles a harsh little note and leaves it out, telling her sister to leave the house. She's hurt, disappointed, and that's exactly when the social worker shows up to check on the state of their home and see how things are going. Nani tries to come in through the front door, but it's locked. So now both sisters have to circle around to the back, but that's locked too. With no other option, Nani forces the door open just to get inside. Once they're in, the social worker, cool as ice, politely asks for a cup of tea. But Nani, caught up in her chaotic life, doesn't even have tea in the house. As the inspection starts, the worker notices the smoke detectors aren't working. Lilo casually explains they took the batteries out because it wouldn't stop beeping. Nani, panicking, tries to steer the conversation, hoping Lilo won't say something that makes things worse. But Lilo, brutally honest as always, doesn't help. The social worker, calm but serious, tells Nani that her job is to make sure Lilo is living in a stable home. And right now, that's just not the case. She gets it. They've been through a lot, especially after losing their parents. But even so, responsibilities are responsibilities. Still, she gives Nani a chance. By Friday, the place needs to be clean, the fridge stocked, clothes in good shape, bills paid, and Nani has to get health insurance for both herself and Lilo. If she pulls it all off, maybe, just maybe, she won't lose custody. Nani, stressed and overwhelmed, storms out of the house in a swirl of emotions. Her life is total chaos right now. That's when her neighbor shows up, sweet old lady Tutu, who reminds her that no social worker gets to define her future. That's on her. She tells her she's stronger than she thinks, that she can do this. Truth is, Nani once got accepted with a full scholarship to a top-tier school, but she gave it all up to stay and take care of her little sister. And right in the middle of that emotional storm, here comes David, the friendly neighborhood guy. You can tell he's totally into Nani, he just can't get a full sentence out before stumbling over himself. With a goofy little smile, he suggests they go surfing sometime just to get a break from the madness. Meanwhile, way out in space, Experiment 626, the tiny blue furry chaos ball, is cruising in his escape pod. All is chill until, bam, a blaring emergency alert goes off. Navigation's gone haywire, impact incoming, he'd better brace himself. Back on Earth, things start to ease up a bit between the sisters. Nani tries to make Lilo a sandwich, but it's a total fail. The thing tastes so weird, Lilo won't even take a bite. During dinner, Lilo quietly confesses she pushed one of the girls at class, and then asks, worried, if that makes her a bad kid. Nani, soft and loving, tells her, no, of course not. She explains that Lilo is just going through a tough time, and no matter what, she'll always be there for her. Always. Lilo, holding back tears, says something that hits right in the heart. You're a better sister than Mom.
Later that night, just as they are about to fall asleep, a shooting star streaks across the sky. Lilo lights up and grabs Nani, dragging her outside to make a wish. She closes her eyes, and from the deepest part of her little heart, she makes one. She wishes for a real friend. Someone who won't laugh at her. Someone who won't leave. A best friend forever. At that exact moment, the little blue monster's pod slams into Earth like a meteor. Against all odds, he walks out without a single scratch, right in front of a stunned frog who watched the whole thing go down. Meanwhile, the other agents sent by the Grand Councilwoman are also approaching the planet. But Experiment 626 is already here and wasting no time. He picks up signs of a nearby wedding, drawn in by the noise, the lights, the colors. No clue what he's walking into. Then zap. He touches a loose wire and takes a full-on electric jolt, but shrugs it off like it's nothing. He hops into a little buggy and keeps rolling right past the guy who just stands there, frozen thinking, what the heck did I just see? The adorable but totally chaotic blue monster crashes the wedding like a wrecking ball, sending the whole party into mayhem. His weird look grabs everyone's attention. Guests whip out their phones and start snapping pics like he's some kind of celebrity. But Stetch has only one thing on his mind: cake. He catches a whiff of the wedding cake and his stomach takes over. Without a second thought, he launches himself onto the table and starts chowing down. People scream, laugh, and snap photos like it's the red carpet gone wild. Meanwhile, up in space, the galactic agents are still arguing nonstop in their ship, accidentally triggering a bunch of technical glitches. Even with the mess, they manage to land on Earth, following the trail of destruction left behind by the experiment. Back on the ground, in all the chaos, the little guy gets launched into the air and ends up under a bus. But as usual, he walks away without a scratch. This dude's indestructible. The agents, trying to blend in, decide to take on the look of two human teens. Weirdly, it works. They blend right in, no questions asked. They check into a hotel, and once they're in the room, one of them drops a sarcastic gem. When a meteor hits your planet, life goes on. Jumba, locked in on finding his creation, opens an interdimensional portal to start the hunt. Thing is, humans have never seen anything like this before. Even though the Grand Councilwoman clearly warned them not to be seen, some random guy catches the whole scene, and he's totally shaken by what he just witnessed. Not long after, the local news breaks the story, urgent coverage about some wild, unknown creature spotted the night before. According to the report, the thing's been taken to an animal shelter. Coincidentally, Lilo says she wants to go there, so Tutu agrees to take her, but not without giving one very specific piece of advice. If you see someone with a weird face, spray them in the eyes. At the shelter, the little blue monster is locked up with a bunch of dogs. He tries to talk to them, but it's a total fail. They just bark back at him, clueless. Lilo shows up too, but this time they take away the candy she usually brings. Turns out those sweet treats she gave the pups were giving them stomach issues, even though her heart was in the right place. Back in his cage, Experiment 626 catches the scent of something sweet. Cake! That's all it takes. He slips out of his cell, drawn by the smell. But surprise, the agents are already there waiting. They spot him, surround him, and fire off tranquilizer darts. Funny enough, it's not the darts that take him down. Nope. He tries to make a run for it, trips, hits his head, and knocks himself out cold. When Lilo walks into the shelter's adoption room, the vibe is heavy. Every animal looks heartbroken, whimpering in their cages. Among them, the little blue monster slowly starts to come to. As his eyes flutter open, the first thing he sees is an adoption sign, and in the background, he hears the alien agents bickering. They're arguing about protocol, saying the Grand Councilwoman strictly forbade harming any human. That's when Experiment 626 puts two and two together. If they can't touch him around humans, then he'd better become one. Quick thinking and slick, he changes his posture, softens his look, pulls a cute face, and pretends to be just a helpless little puppy. Then, to really sell it, he looks at Lilo and says, "Hi." Lilo's eyes go wide. She's stunned and completely in love. Without a second thought, she chooses him as her brand new best friend. As they walk out together, the agents try to take a shot anyway, but they know they can't do anything with humans watching. Pleakley jumps in to stop Jumba from blowing the whole operation, but in the heat of the moment, Jumba just shoots his own partner. Back at home, Nani sees that Leela brought in a pet and she's not having it. She's already stretched thin and now there's another mouth to feed. No way. She tells Lilo the dog can only stay one night. Then they're taking it back. Meanwhile, we meet Cobra Bubbles, a mysterious, no-nonsense undercover CIA agent. He and his team are deep into an investigation about a spacecraft that crash-landed not long ago. Despite combing the area, they haven't found a single trace until a tipster shows up. Someone spotted a strange creature roaming around the night before. That's all Cobra needs to hear. He dives deeper into the case. Later on, Lilo's out enjoying some ice cream, proudly showing off her new pet to the other girls, but like always, they laugh at her. That's when one of the girls pulls out a toy car and bam, Stitch is instantly obsessed. Eyes mocked in, he jumps, hot wires the thing like a pro, and zooms off with Lilo on a wild ride all the way up to a local tourist hotspot. Lilo keeps trying to share her world with him, takes him to the beach, plays with him in the sand, does her best to make him laugh. But Stitch isn't impressed. He's distant, disconnected. Soon after, Nani picks up both Lilo and her weird new pet to take them to her job. Lilo's been pulled out of hula class. During the ride, Lilo finally gives him a name, Stitch. As they drive off, the undercover agents spot them but don't make a move, yet. One of them sneaks a tracking device onto Stitch. The hunt just got real. Once they get to Nani's job, she heads off to work like usual. That's when David shows up, her friendly, kind of shy neighbor. He starts chatting with Lilo, and without missing a beat, she blurts out, "My sister thinks your hair is cute." David turns bright red and can't hide the smile spreading across his face. Clearly, that made his day.
Meanwhile, Stitch is getting bored, and when he's bored, trouble's right around the corner. He starts messing around, looking for fun. Lilo tries to keep him in check, but nope, he drags her into a full-blown mess. Then he discovers fire, and he's hooked, totally fascinated. Stitch steals a bit of fire and starts experimenting like a mad scientist, but his little game quickly gets out of hand and boom, an accidental blaze breaks out. Sirens wail, cops arrive, and because of the whole disaster, Nani gets fired. Lilo is crushed. Nothing can cheer her up. Stitch tries his usual antics to make her laugh, but this time it doesn't work, not even a giggle. Meanwhile, the Grand Councilwoman checks in with the agents. They report that they still haven't captured the experiment, but they're hot on his trail. She's clearly running out of patience and reminds them once again to keep things low profile. But right in the middle of the call, the two agents crash into each other like total amateurs. The Grand Councilwoman facepalms and half-jokingly says, maybe we should just blow up the planet and call it a day. Later that night, Nani comes home exhausted. Lilo tries to give Stitch a bath, but no surprise, he's not having it. He squirms, resists, and does everything he can to stay dry. Outside the house, the mysterious CIA agent Cobra Bubbles is quietly watching everything unfold. Inside, Nani has had enough. She's beyond overwhelmed and completely done with Stitch. Lilo, trying to calm her down, gently reminds her what Ohana means. Ohana means family, and family never leaves or forgets. But Nani, with her voice cracking, finally says what she's been holding in. Our parents left us, Lilo. She just can't take the chaos anymore. She decides that tomorrow they're taking Stitch back to the shelter. Elsewhere, Cobra Bubbles calls the social worker. He's planning to go undercover and assess the situation himself. Back at home, Lilo tries to talk sense into Stitch. She wants him to understand what it means to have a family, but he doesn't really get it. Not yet. Once he finally calms down, Lilo opens up to him. She tells him about her sister Nani, how she used to be the best at school and surfing. She shares how much she misses her parents. Then, with a soft smile, she asks him, "Do you have a family?" Stitch looks at her and says, "No, I got no one." Trying to lift the mood, Lilo shows him a photo of her hula group, then she starts teaching him a little dance. Bit by bit, something begins to change in Stitch, especially when Lilo gives him a soft kiss on the nose. That tiny gesture of love hits him deep. The next morning, Nani is rushing to a job interview. She grabs Lilo and Stitch and heads out the door in a hurry. But just as they're leaving, who shows up? The social worker, this time with Cobra Bubbles by her side. The social worker lays into Nani, warning her that if things don't improve, she could lose custody of Lilo. Meanwhile, Lilo eyes the man standing next to her. She notices the word Cobra tattooed across his knuckles. That's no random guess. This man is someone important. And she's right. Cobra, while keeping cool, quietly swipes a tiny sample of Stitch's fur for testing. At the same time, the alien agents are still on the hunt. With time running out, Nani has no choice but to leave Lilo and Stitch with the social worker while she heads to her interview. As soon as Nani's gone, the agents follow from a distance, staying hidden. Back with Lilo and Stitch, she decides it's time for some basic life lessons. Lesson 1, help out. Give a hand or a paw when someone needs it, like when you're cleaning. Lesson 2, don't break stuff. Lesson 3, fix your mistakes, even if that means returning the toy car he stole from a little girl. Lilo also tries teaching Stitch the importance of staying calm. Though, yeah, that one's still a major challenge. Unfortunately, despite her efforts, Stitch's non-stop antics end up ruining Nani's job interview. Again, another opportunity down the drain. But just when it feels like all hope is gone, Stitch spots a chance to make things right. A job opening as surf instructors. That's Nani's thing, her favorite thing. So they race over to the beach. As they watch her do what she loves, Stitch sees a dog surfing on a board and he's mesmerized. He begs the instructors to let him try, and shockingly, he's kind of good at it. But the fun doesn't last. The alien agents show up and chaos erupts once again. In the middle of a wild move, Stitch accidentally sends himself and Lilo flying off the surfboard. Panicked and flailing, he tries to use Lilo to push himself above water, but she's too heavy, and they both start sinking fast. Thankfully, David jumps in and pulls Lilo out just in time. She's alive, but hurt. They rush her to the hospital. From a distance, Agent Cobra watches the whole thing unfold. That's all he needs to confirm his suspicions. He quietly activates Code 51 and calls for an emergency extraction. Someone else is hunting that blue creature too, but his request gets denied. They're still analyzing the fur sample. At the hospital, the doctors let Nani know that Lilo is going to be okay. She'll be discharged soon. But then they ask for her health insurance details, and Nani has to admit she doesn't have any. That's when the social worker steps in with an offer. She says there's a way to get the state to cover all the medical bills, but there's a catch. Nani would have to officially give up custody of her sister. The price of help is losing Lilo. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the alien agents are casually taking a bath when a new call comes in from the Grand Councilwoman. During the conversation, Jumba admits without shame that he designed Experiment 627 to be extremely dangerous. The Grand Councilwoman is livid. Not only have they exposed the experiment to humans, but they've still failed to catch him. That's it. She's done. She orders Pleakley to arrest the scientist and shut down the mission. Jumba is going back to space to face the consequences. But Jumba's not going down that easy. The crafty scientist tricks his gullible partner and dodges capture once again. Back at the hospital, Nani goes in to see her little sister. She tries to explain what's going on, but she's visibly shaken. Lilo can feel it. Something bad is coming. Nani, fighting back tears, tells her things are going to change, that they might not be together anymore. Overwhelmed, she steps outside for some air. Lilo follows her. The two sit together and start talking about their parents, how much they miss them, how kind and loving they were. In a touching moment, Lilo looks at Nani and says, "You're like my mom now, and you're doing a really good job." Then she asks her to sing a song, just like she used to when they were little. Meanwhile, Stitch, overwhelmed with guilt for all the trouble he thinks he's caused, decides to leave. Sad and confused, he heads back to the animal shelter and quietly locks himself in a cage with the other dogs. He just wants a little peace. The next day, the social worker and Cobra Bubbles show up at the house. Nani, holding back tears, finally accepts that maybe this is what's best for Lilo. But when they go to the girl's room, she's gone. Lilo's not there.
Turns out Lilo went looking for Stitch. She finds him, still curled up in a cage at the shelter. He quietly tells her that he broke her family, that he's a monster, that everything is his fault. But Lilo, with all the love in the world, gently tells him it was just an accident. He's not bad. He just does bad things sometimes. Then she reminds him that Ohana means family, and family isn't about being perfect. It's about sticking together. Suddenly, a portal rips open in front of them. Jumba's back, and this time he's here to take Stitch by force. But the little experiment reacts fast. He manages to snatch the control device and launches Jumba straight into a dimensional trap. Jumba, being the crafty scientist he is, flips the situation, breaks free, transforms, and escapes the portal with ease. Lilo and Stitch make a run for it, but Jumba catches up quickly. As they dodge through the wreckage of the house, Jumba tears everything apart in his path. Lilo freezes. She sees her home, her memories being destroyed. She can't leave it all behind. She turns around and decides to stand her ground. And Stitch, who had hesitated, turns back too, this time ready to protect her. Outside, Pleakley watches the chaos from a distance, eyes sharp, waiting for the right moment to step in. Inside, the battle rages. Stitch fights with all he's got, but Jumba overpowers him. Then, trying to break him mentally, Jumba throws cruel words like daggers. "This family fell apart because of you. You picked that girl just so she'd protect you. If you really care about her, let her go, leave forever." Shattered, Stitch lowers his head. The words sink in, and finally he gives up. He surrenders, not knowing Lilo has followed him right into the portal. Deep inside the ship, Jumba locks Stitch up and finally reveals his true plan. The Grand Councilwoman may have ordered Stitch's exile, but Jumba has other ideas. He's not going to destroy him, he's going to upgrade him. He tells Stitch he'll turn him into a new experiment, number 727, stronger, deadlier, and even more evil. Back at the now-destroyed house, everyone's scrambling to find Lilo, but she's nowhere to be seen. That's when Pleakley drops the truth. Both Lilo and Stitch went through the portal, and they're now aboard an alien ship that's seconds away from taking off. Agent Cobra Bubbles confronts Jumba head-on. He's had enough. With all the evidence he's gathered, he accuses Jumba of being an alien and declares he's taking him in for questioning at a secure facility. But Pleakley pleads his case, insisting he's harmless, just a scientist, not dangerous, despite everything that's happened. Then Cobra gets a call from the lab analyzing Stitch's fur sample. They confirm it. Whatever creature it came from, it's not part of any known Earth species. That changes everything. Nani, David, and the others beg Cobra to act now, forget protocol. They need to save Lilo before it's too late. Aboard the ship, Lilo is still locked up, while Stitch, restrained as well, starts thinking fast. He comes up with a plan. Step by step, he guides Lilo, and together they manage to break through the security system. Working as a team, they outsmart Jumba, trap him, and in one risky move, launch him off the ship straight into the ocean below. But now the ship is falling apart. Systems are failing. It's going down fast. Lilo and Stitch have to get out now, but she freezes. The jump is huge, and the ocean looks terrifying. Stitch reaches out his hand. "We'll be okay," he tells her. "We jump together." Just as they're about to leap, a photo slips from Lilo's pocket. The photo of her family, the one memory she holds dearest. Stitch sees it and doesn't hesitate. He dives after it. Moments later, the ship crashes hard into the ocean. Among the floating wreckage, Stitch surfaces, clinging to a piece of twisted metal, breathing heavily, eyes scanning everywhere, but no sign of Lilo. Panicked, he dives in, even though he can't swim. Instinct takes over. He has to find her. Beneath the waves, he spots her trapped in the wreckage. He grabs her and pushes her upward. She breaks the surface, gasping, and tries to pull Stitch out too, but his body is too heavy. Just then, Nani, Cobra, and the others arrive. They pull Lilo from the water and rush her to safety. But Stitch is still trapped underwater, and time is running out. Nani, heartbroken, feels like it's over. She's ready to give up, but Lilo stops her with one word that changes everything. Ohana. Ohana means family, and family never gets left behind or forgotten.
Moved by her sister's strength, Nani doesn't hesitate. She dives into the ocean, because in their family no one gets left behind. She reaches Stitch, but he's too heavy to lift. Slowly, carefully, she drags him toward shore, giving it everything she's got. Finally, she gets him onto land. But silence. Stitch isn't moving. His small body lies limp. No breath, no sign of life. They try to revive him, but nothing works. He's fading fast. In a desperate move, they hook up a car battery to a makeshift defibrillator. Everyone holds their breath. The shock surges through his little body. Nothing. Still no response. The silence grows heavier, until suddenly a small twitch. His chest rises. Stitch slowly opens his eyes, and with a soft voice he says, "Lilo." Then with a cough he spits out something. The photo, the one that meant everything to her. He didn't dive just to save himself. He saved what mattered most, her family. Suddenly, the sky lights up again. A new ship descends. It's the Grand Councilwoman, flanked by her elite guard. She's come in person to end this. She declares that the experiment cannot remain on Earth. He was built for destruction and he must be contained. She also announces that Jumba has been recaptured and will face trial for his actions. But then Stitch steps forward. He looks up at the Grand Councilwoman and with quiet humility asks for permission to say goodbye. Surprised by his tone, she agrees. Stitch turns, looks around at everyone, and with a voice full of emotion says, "This is my family. It's small and it's broken, but it's good. Yeah, really good." The Grand Councilwoman, clearly moved by what she's just witnessed, begins to reconsider. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance Stitch could stay on Earth, but someone would have to stay behind to supervise him, to make sure he's not a danger. Before she can even finish, Pleakley throws himself to the ground and volunteers, grinning from ear to ear. Still, the Grand Councilwoman hesitates. She's worried humanity might uncover the truth about their kind. That's when Agent Cobra Bubble steps forward. He's seen everything, and he's got his own secrets. He looks her straight in the eye and says, "Nothing will be revealed." The Councilwoman studies him for a moment, then with a nod, accepts her word. Finally, she looks at Stitch one last time, and in that moment she understands, against all odds, there's real goodness inside this creature, true goodness. But the law is the law. Experiment 626 was sentenced to exile, and that sentence will be carried out here on Earth. And so Stitch doesn't just find a place to live, he finds something far greater, family. Back home, all that's left of the house is rubble and broken memories. Just the foundation remains, but in the middle of the wreckage, one thing survived untouched, the bond between them. That's when the social worker arrives. But this time, she's not here with warnings or threats, she's got good news. Miss Tutu, their lifelong neighbor, has decided to officially adopt Lilo so she can stay close to Nani and keep living her life without being taken away. Nani, overwhelmed with emotion, accepts the offer with gratitude. But Lilo, wiser after everything she's been through, gently says no. She doesn't want her sister to give up her life anymore.
She tells Nani she wants to see her chase her dream of studying marine biology because that's what her parents wanted for her. That's what they always said was her path. Miss Tutu steps in with a warm, steady smile. She tells Nani not to let guilt or responsibility hold her back. She shouldn't forget herself. You've got your Ohana, and that means you've got a family who will stand by you so you can follow your dreams and make us proud. Tears fill their eyes as the three of them wrap each other in a long, loving hug. And just like that, the story comes to an end. But wait, there's a post-credit scene. A video call starts. Lilo's on screen, full of excitement. On the other side appears Nani. But suddenly, a small portal flickers open behind her, just enough for someone to step through. And it's Nani, smiling wide as she crosses over to surprise them. The three hug again like no time has passed. But someone else is there too. Agent Cobra Bubbles. He can't see the portal, they're not supposed to be using it. So the trio plays it cool. By the time he steps in, they're already snuggled up like nothing's out of the ordinary. And with one last quiet breath, that's how this story ends.